Hello everyone, it's July 8th, 2014. It's Tuesday, it's Harp Tuesday. And I know it's been quite a long time since the last Harp Tuesday episode. Of course, I was in Rio, in Brazil, for the Rio Harp Festival and stayed on for another couple weeks. Had a great time there. Big shout outs to Tatiana and to Isabella for hosting me and to their families, and of course to Isabella for setting up a number of other concerts and teaching and stuff like that in the couple other weeks that I was there after the festival. So had a wonderful time, and then came back and had some orchestra stuff, and also was just kind of enjoying taking things a little bit easy because it's been a busy first half of the year. But I definitely want to get back in the swing of things, so I'm going to do an episode this week and an episode next week as well, and try and finish off this look at this set of variations by Dalvimare on some way or another's theme. So let's see. I'm going to look at number 2, and we kind of skipped over that, right? We've looked at the theme, we've looked at the first variation, and the third and the fourth variation. So let's look at number 2. Now number 2 is kind of interesting because it has some accidentals. We have some C sharps and some F sharps. But as I say, the version that I learned, the variations on a theme by Mozart, left these out. It just kept them as natural. And actually, so to me then, playing them as natural sounds the right way, whereas playing them with sharps sounds kind of weird. And I think it actually works quite nicely and makes it so that you can play this easily on the lever harp, because trying to get those lever changes in there, I think would, I don't want to say impossible, but it looks pretty hard to me. So yeah, so I'm going to talk about what we do there and take just a quick look at this second variation. So before we talk about the lever change or the non-lever changes, let's look at the piece. It's this allegro risoluto, so it's kind of joyous, and we have this nice little very uplifting quality to this variation. And one of the hardest parts of this variation is this little, it's almost like a little ornamentation, right? They're 30-second notes, but in a way that's kind of deceptive, because this could have also been written in 3/4 instead of 3/8, in which case they'd only be 16th notes. But they are faster, and in this case, twice as fast is the surrounding notes. So it's really important that it not be a case of hearing the first one, and we hear something, and then we get to the next beat. We really need to hear all 4 of those notes, and those inside notes in particular, because again, that first one, really easy for us to hear. The next 3, not as clear. And it's hard because we're turning around there. So we have to be able to do that quickly and cleanly, so that we don't hear that C getting stopped too much as we replace. We're replacing basically at the same time as we're playing 3. So it's hard. And you can take it slow. This is a case where I think it's really important to think about the fingers pointing down if we're trying to do. It's much more awkward than, a nice short motion towards the palm, but we're not trying to fully close. And there we are. So that's something to practice, and try to get those sounding as crisp as possible. Ba 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 bum, and you can almost think a little crescendo going through them so that we hear every note. So let me actually try playing this. And then we would repeat, and you'll notice there I just played that. I didn't try to get the C sharp in here or that F sharp. Just played it, you know, with marked sharp. We're just going to play as natural. Sounds great. And obviously, you know, if you want, you can try to get it going faster than that, or slower than that as well. But having that, I think that kind of quality of almost like a march or something like that, kind of triumphant sounding. So, a few more things to talk about then. So, as we start the second half, of course, again, you'll notice we're playing that F as a natural. This left-hand pattern is really tricky, just the way that it's written, because we're used to going to go back and forth, you know. But in this case, we're doing only 3. We're doing, and especially with when we get trying to get both hands, it's one of these things that can be a little bit of a brain teaser, brain twister to try to get that going. My suggestion would be to connect within each bar. Connect the left hand within each bar and then come off. So we do come off, come off. It's also possible that maybe you just connect the first 2 beats in the bar. Beat just by itself and then place. Play around, see what feels most comfortable for you, but be aware that that's kind of again like a brain teaser little spot. Then we go climbing up here, and we can start with 2 and 3. You know, then place the thumb 1 and 2. The reason we don't start with 1 and 2, we could do that, right? We could go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is because by starting with 2 and 3, we're actually making it a little bit easier for ourselves, right? We're taking some of the work. If we start here, we got to jump way up here. It's also a little bit of a big stretch for 1 and 2, but that's okay. Whereas if we start with 2 and 3, the thumb is already set and comfortable and ready to play on that C. So as soon as 2 plays, there we are ready to play. And it means we are, if we were playing just the E and the C as a chord or as an interval, we would always play that with 3 and 1 so that we get a slightly more comfortable reach. Wander down with 3 and 1. And here in the left hand, this spot, we're not going to play this F sharp as an F sharp. As an F natural, we're actually going to change the note. We're going to play it as a G, so that instead of, as written, of course, it's, which is kind of nice. If we played them both as F naturals, sounds kind of weird. So we're going to put a G in there, so there's just a C chord on top. And again, this is coming from the version I learned. So it happens there on that, sorry, pointing up here on the screen, you'll see it on the screen. Happens on the third bar of that third line. It also happens, the exact same bar is repeated on the very last bar of this page. The first bar of the very last line of this page. So we're just going to change those to G's, and now we're up an octave, repeating the start. And here we're going to come off and set up for this little grace note. So you can always, whenever you're playing a grace note, you can always leave the grace note out. To get a sense of the rhythm of how it's structured. And then, we're going to play this grace note, so it's coming before the beat, and it's going to take up a little bit of space of that first from the second beat, right? A little bit of space from that C. And here, I think you've got various options. So I like, obviously, we're going to play the grace note with a thumb and the D with 2, connect to 3 and 4. And now here, you could go back to 3, 2, 1, cross under with 2, and now we're set up and we're doing 1, 2, and 4 on the bottom because we have to go up to all these 4 notes, so we can't do 3 on the bottom. Option 1. Option 2 starts the same. Cross under with 3 instead of 2, and then 1 and 1, 2, 4. And I've talked about that before in other episodes, how for different people and different hands, maybe it's more comfortable for you if you're going like thumb, cross under, thumb. The traditional, the very typical classical way that you would be told to do it would be 1, 2, 1, right? For me, I often find it's just a little bit more comfortable, that it gives me a little bit more space if I do 1, 3, 1. And again, like my fingers are fairly big, right? So that plays into that. So again, is a personal preference thing. Perhaps you want to do 3, 1. The other option would be to start it the same way. And now from 4, instead of going to 4, 3, 2, 1, you could go 4, 2, 1 and do 3, 2, 1. It means that we're crossing under in the middle instead of towards the end of this run, and potentially it makes the transition feel a little bit more secure from the end of this bar into the start of the next bar. Play around with those. I think they're all pretty valid. I think I did just the 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1 when I played through it for you, but as I say, they're all equally valid, I think. And here we get this little echo spot. Maybe back off a little bit. Another 2, 3 to start with. And here, I've marked down 1, 2, and then 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. For me, I don't mind that stretch. Like, it's a big stretch, right? But it's not too bad. If you have small hands, you might want to do 1, 3, 4, and then switch to 3, 1 for those descending 6. And again, the left hand, there's another spot where we're playing this F sharp is a G. And here, in terms of thinking about the music, right? So we have this little backing off. We really want to kind of lead into now these. We hear this tune. We're kind of hearing it's not the same pattern, but it's the same chord progression. And as these really very, it's marked fortissimo there. So we can get quite excited, and we kind of want to drive into that, both with this, well, of course, leading into it, those are getting exciting, and then this. And here, we might want to stretch, so we're maybe getting louder, and then maybe we're also stretching it a little bit. We're also taking a little bit extra time, giving things a little bit of a feel of extra weight. And here on the left hand, to start, we maybe, it kind of has a little bit of a sense of this big boulder on the top of a hill, and it takes a little bit, it's got to overcome inertia to start rolling, so there's that slow start, and then faster and faster and faster and down the hill, so that we get this not anything extreme, but this kind of subtle effect of holding back and then moving forward into this, because we don't want to go like that. That's not got the excitement that we want, but etc. So to set that up nicely, and then across the page, on the next page, we have this little, basically a broken chord, except we're breaking, if it was a broken chord, we would start with the left hand, right? Do this break, but in this case, we're doing these 3 grace notes first, and then timing the thumb with the left hand octave. And rather than try to connect, we're going to play 2, 3, 4 on these next 3 notes, but rather than trying to connect, in other words, try to place them before we play the thumb, we're just going to come off. It's actually going to be faster and smoother if we come off, and then, the fingers just open up right there they are. And this is a similar pattern to what we've had before. And it repeats, and this time maybe a little bit softer. And this is one of these kind of endless endings. We keep moving from a C chord to a G7. You can just go on forever and ever. We could keep doing this little. So to me, I kind of like that idea of we're starting it a little quieter, which ties in with the idea that this second sort of repeat of those 4 bars is a little softer, and we get faster, and maybe we get louder for sure, and maybe faster as well. Push it a little bit towards the end, and the nice, boom, boom, boom. These last few chords, maybe they could be stretched a tiny bit if you want, but not too much. I think we still, if we're doing this idea of getting faster and louder, we want to continue it right through to the end. So there you have the second variation, and next week I will look at number 5 and number 6. So have a great week, and I will see you in 1 week's time. Cheers.